Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is when you're watching this. I hope you're well, and I hope you're enjoying the lovely weather that we're having outside at the moment here in the UK, in the southeast anyway. We are, of course, all locked into our homes at the moment in isolation, and so this is the time where you really need to be keeping in touch with friends and family as best you can. The phone is one thing, but a mobile phone leads you to so many other means of communication, all of which we'll go into in the future. I thought I'd do a little series of videos based around the mobile phone in particular, so that even if you've not really used yours very much before, this is your chance to get to know it and to start. And we're going to begin with a problem that I had a call recently from one of the ladies I teach IT to. She'd got a new mobile phone given to her just before lockdown, which is very lucky, but she couldn't actually hear anything on it at all. So we are going to have a little look at how to control the volume on your phone. And here we go.
Okay then, now we're going to have a look at changing our volume, and this will work whether you're on any phone really, an iPhone or an Android, which means a Samsung, a Nokia, a Motorola, really any phone that's not an iPhone. But this method will work for all. You do have volume keys on the side of your phone, a button you can press to change the volume. However, that's not very exact. It's quite difficult to control, so I'm going to show you a different way that's a little more complicated to find, but actually you've got much more control this way, and it's a useful button to know about and use on other occasions. We're looking for your settings button, and this is a grey button that has the word settings underneath it and a little pattern on the top in white of what looks like a flower, but which is actually meant to be a cogwheel. Okay, I can't see a button like that on the first page of my phone, so I'm going to look on another page. I'm going to push this page over to the left-hand side, and I'm going to do this by resting my finger lightly on the edge of the phone, just gently, not tapping, and then I'm going to push my finger over to the left, just like this. Now, if that doesn't work first time, try again, and if it doesn't work again, it can be tricky sometimes, just try resting your finger in a slightly different place. And if that still doesn't work, again, a different place, and try pressing just a little bit harder. Not too hard, because you might open one of the apps on here by mistake, and then you have to come back and start from the beginning. It's a tricky technique, so try it again. Rest your finger quite lightly and quickly push it to the side. And then to go back the other way, rest your finger on the left-hand side and push over to the right. I say push, it's actually quite a flick. Okay, I'm on the second page of my phone now, and if I look down here, on the bottom row, second from the right, is my settings button. Grey, settings, and a white cogwheel on the top. That's the button you need. The picture on iPhone will look slightly different. It will have grey and settings, but it won't be a cogwheel. I can't quite describe what it looks like. It's a picture in white anyway. Okay, so let's tap this button once, and the settings menus open up. And this is a vital menu. It's not one to fiddle around with. The controls in here will alter the way your phone works quite dramatically, so you need to know what you're doing. But it's one we'll come back to, because if anything goes wrong with your phone, this is where you can customize it and correct it. It's a very useful menu. Okay, the top of mine says connections. That's where you go to get your Wi-Fi and your mobile data and things like that. The second button down is actually the one we want. Now, mine is called Sounds and Vibration. Yours might be called just Sounds. It might be called Volume. But anyway, something along those lines, Sound, Volume. If you can't see yours on this bit of the menu, This menu is quite a long one. We need to go through to the next part of it. But this time, instead of going from right to left or left to right, we are going to go from the bottom of the phone to the top. Rest your finger lightly on the bottom and flick your finger up towards the top while pushing the phone upwards, like that. And I've got the rest of my menu. Lots more bits and pieces, which we'll come back to another time. And again, rest your finger at the bottom of the phone and push upwards. And now, halfway up, it stopped. And that means I've got to the bottom of my menu. And usually the very bottom on the item on the bottom is About Phone, as I've got there. And if you're not quite sure what phone you've got, that's the one to tap, as it will tell you. I've gone past my button now, so I'm going to go back up the menu. And to do that, we just do what we've done in the opposite direction. Instead of going from the bottom of the phone to the top of the phone, I'm going to rest my finger at the top of the phone and push down towards the bottom. And here it is, actually. There we are. So we're back to where we started from. And here is the sounds and vibration button. I'm going to tap that. And a new menu opens up. Okay, the first one. We've got sounds mode. Now, let's just tap that. Because if you are not hearing anything from your phone at all, not a single peep of noise, then you've probably, like me, got it on mute. And you actually shouldn't have that unless you're at the cinema or in a meeting. You don't want mute. You want your phone to be on sound, because that allows ringtone, notification beeps, etc., etc. I'm going to put mine on mute, though, in case anyone rings me in the middle of this, you leave yours on sound. Now, to get back to the main menu, this time it's a little bit like it is when we're using Google on the computer. We go to the top left-hand side of the screen and we look for an arrow that's pointing to the left. And there is one here, just next to sound mode. That little arrow pointing off to the left of the screen, I'm going to tap that and it takes us back one page. And I'm back to the menu I want to be in. I'm going to look down here, and the first few I'm not interested in: ringtone, vibration pattern, notification, sounds. But here we get volume, and this is the one I want. So if you find your volume key, if you need to, pull up the rest of the menu by holding your finger lightly at the bottom and pushing upwards. And when you find your volume key, tap it once. And here you have got the controls for all the different sounds on your phone. Now you'll see my ringtone is right over on the left hand side, and my notifications and my system are also right over on the left hand side, but they're actually in grey. They've been muted because you remember I have my phone on mute. Same for ringtone. That little grey speaker symbol right over on the left has got a line through it. That's an indication this is muted. Your phone should be on sound, as we said just now, so yours should all look like media, which is all blue. Now, there's a long blue line, and somewhere along that line will be a shape. For me, I've got a round circle, which is quite some way over to the right hand side, and that means my volume is set up quite high. To move this, I press my finger very gently on top of the shape, whatever shape you've got, and then I either push it over to the left to make it quieter, or push it over to the right to make it louder. I'll demonstrate and you'll see. So finger on top, push. and see how it got louder and softer. Louder is over to the right, softer is over to the left. And that is basically how you control your volume. It's easy to do when you're in settings. Just over to the right to make it louder, over to the left to make it softer. Okay, and now to go back again. Just like before, we go up to the top left hand side and we look for the arrow pointing to the left and tap that. And again on the next screen, tap the arrow until we get back to the screen right at the beginning where there is no arrow in the top left. And at this point, I'm going to go down to the bottom of my phone and I'm going to look for the button in the middle. It will look different depending on which phone you've got. I've got a little round circle in the middle of the phone. I've got 3 buttons, one on the left, one on the right, and it's the one in the middle we want. If you're on an iPhone or a tablet, you will probably have a physical button that you actually press. Anyway, whichever button it is, just tap it and it takes you back to your main screen. And I am now going to put my finger on the left hand side of the screen, push it to the right, and I'm back to my main screen here. So that is how to find your settings button and alter the volume. Now I'm going to show you one extra way that's a little quicker, and this is for everyone apart from those of you who've got an iPhone, because it won't work for you. But for anyone else, we're looking for settings again, and this time we're going to look at the very top right hand side of our phone, and this is where you'll see a picture of the battery. Now my battery is the one on the far right there, and it's got a white line kind of halfway up. My battery is half full. It's that area there anyway. Rest your finger very lightly on top of that and brush your finger down towards the bottom of the phone. And lo, you get an extra menu. This is so useful if you're on Android phones, because suddenly you can see all these extra controls which are so useful, and if I push down again I get even more of them. We'll go into these another time, but it's a quick, handy way of finding things. And there, just on the right at the top, is not a grey button, but you recognise that sort of flower cogwheel pattern. This time it's in black on white in the middle here. Tap that once, and there you are at your settings menu. And once again we can go into sounds and vibration and go into volume, and there we are back at our volume controls where we needed to be. So that is a little bit quicker for those of you with Android phones. So I shall go back and tap on the phone, on the button in the middle at the bottom, and I'm back to the main bit of my phone.
Okay, well I hope that made sense to you. Let me know in the comments below if you had any problems with that, and I hope you will also subscribe by pressing the red subscribe button, and then you'll see all my videos as they come up in the future. But also put anything down in the comments that you would like me to cover. I'm going to be looking at installing and using WhatsApp next, so that you can do video calls and just general WhatsApp messages to friends and family. But anything on top of that, just let me know. Okay, I shall look forward to seeing you again next time. Goodbye, thanks very much.